I'm Melanie Johnson along with my co-host Jen Foster. We are both 13-time best-selling authors. We've published over 2,500 books and made all of our authors #1 bestsellers. We own Elite Online Publishing. If you want to become a best-selling author, look us up at eliteonlinepublishing.com. Now, welcome to the podcast that shares secrets from top industry experts that show you how to get lasting success and results. This is the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. Hey everyone, it's Melanie Johnson. It's a great day to be listening to a podcast, and we're so glad you're listening to ours today. I'm here with my business partner from Elite Online Publishing, Jen Foster. Hey, Jen.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
All right, we're glad to have you here. And, I want to remind you to subscribe to the podcast because we always have great content. We're here to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you on a variety of subjects. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a stay-at-home mom, we have something for everybody on this show. So make sure you subscribe and leave us a comment and share the podcast. And also a reminder, if you're looking to publish a book and become a #1 best-selling author, Jen and I have made over 150 authors #1 bestsellers, every single one, every single time. So reach out and contact us. You can go to our website and fill out a submission form. All right, so today, have you ever wondered about how to leverage the media, how to leverage PR to get that media attention? One of the strategies we have here at Elite Online Publishing is to use a book, but we have an expert, Tracy Lamourie, and let me just brag about her for a minute. She has too many awards to mention that she's gotten in the PR field. She has Lamourie Media, and she has won the Platinum Award, the Diamond Award in marketing and entrepreneurship. So she's just crazy as an expert in PR. And we just wanted to bring her to you today so you could learn how to leverage media and public relations to skyrocket your business to the top of that field and get that attention. So Tracy, thanks for coming today. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here speaking to your audience. And you?
Awesome. Well, tell us, Tracy, a little bit about yourself and how you got into PR and how you became with all these awards.
So that's a long story, but the short story is I love messaging and I'm passionate about helping people and brands, but mostly people and people do, because even brands, people are the brands, doing important things and getting important messages out there, amplifying messages. So in context of what you're just saying, in terms of getting your messaging out there, especially when I speak to entrepreneurs, both women and men, but a lot of times I speak with to power women and empowering women in panels like that. And so this is a special message for women as well in business. You deserve a seat at the table, and this is how you get there. Be loud. Don't be shy. Women especially often say, oh, I hate talking about myself. I don't want to brag about my accomplishments. It's not about bragging about your accomplishments, but it's about showing the world what you do. So I often speak about building up yourself, then building up your brand, and then building up your community. But one of the most powerful ways to do all of those things is through the power of the media. And that's a mystery to most people. How do you get into the media?
Mm-hmm.
So no matter who you are, whether you're a real estate agent or whether you're an author or whether you're a celebrity, it's pretty much the same thing. I can help you do that, and I can let you know how to do it. There's all kinds of tricks where you can do it yourself, which is everyone knows about a press release, which is telling the media what you're doing and writing it up and sending it to media in the hopes that they'll interview you. That's something you can actually do. You can let the media know what you're doing. You have to be very careful when it's a business message and understand the difference between advertorial and editorial, so you don't burn a bridge with a reporter who realizes that you're just trying to get free advertising or something. Their mission is to get important messaging to their audience. So you need to understand their audience and then think about it as giving them content they can actually use as opposed to asking them for something. And there's all kinds of tricks. I can give you little tricks of the trade. Remember the word hero, which I don't usually tell people, but it's help a reporter out. And there's Source Bottle in Australia. And those are some free sources that you can go on no matter what you do. You can see daily requests from reporters looking for all kinds of people across industries or across experience. And I mean, it's just personal experience about dating or life or, whatever it is. But if you're speaking and looking for opportunities to speak about your expertise, those are ways that you can build up your credibility with a third party talking about what you do instead of you buying advertising, which audiences are, sophisticated about today and understand that anybody can buy an ad and say anything. But when you're interviewed by radio, TV,
Mm-hmm.
in newspapers, and they're talking to you as the expert in your field, obviously that builds all kinds of credibility. And there are ways to do that, you know, that the average person can do that using those tools, and just building yourself and the confidence to put yourself out in panels. Every industry has panels and conversations and blogs, and so yeah, there's lots of opportunities, and I help people find those opportunities and teach them how to do it themselves.
So my background is like TV. I used to own a couple TV stations, and we started out as an all news network. And so what is it that the hook, you can tell somebody what you do in that press release and it can just be boring, blah, like you say, okay, next. But how does someone craft it to get the reporter's attention, even if you're going to that? And it was a great tip to help a reporter look that up online, because there's always reporters looking for people to interview to get their slant on things. But how do you position yourself and create that press release to get their attention and actually to say, yes, we want to talk to you?
So that is where a lot of skill comes in. And, but I would never say you need a publicist to do that, because I started doing that on my own and I learned how to do that without ever going to school for it. And
Mhm.
people who want to invest the time and, kind of thinking and strategy. But basically what it comes down to is think not like the entrepreneur that you are, or the
Mhm.
person that you are, that, don't think like yourself. Think like the newsroom. And you have to really understand what a newsroom needs. And like I often tell entrepreneurs, it's you may think you may have the best, most exciting thing since sliced bread. You truly
Mhm.
may, but that's not actually necessarily a news story. And so most people don't actually understand what goes into a news story. And
Mhm.
also, I mean, and I often say it this way: watch when I'm trying to counsel entrepreneurs. That's the worst, because they don't get it, because they have an amazing thing and the world should know about it.
Mhm.
Watch a 20-minute news broadcast. Watch a half an hour news broadcast, 22 minutes. What do you see in that broadcast? Do you ever see them talk about an amazing new product or opportunity? No, 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 because that's not news, right? So first understand what they do, and then find different ways to make their job easier. Make sure it is, number one, editorial and not advertorial. And then make it clear, like if you're crafting a press release, it should be a one pager. It should not be convoluted. It should be one idea. If I can't read and understand what the news is in the first two sentences, you lost me and it's not a story. If I have to wade
Mhm.
through it as a reporter, right? So basically present yourself as a source for a great way to do it is um, topical press releases. So if there's something going on in the news where, because of your expertise in something, you would normally turn to a friend and be like, oh, you know what I think about that? Because you have that. Well, that can be, if it's an ongoing story, media may need new voices, new perspectives. So if you actually legitimately have a perspective and you're not just Bob on the street, but you're the author of a book on the topic, or you have some kind of thing that you can hang your hat on, which could be other media interviews, podcasts you've done, because there's ways to step up if you don't have any presence to develop them. But yeah, so putting yourself out there as a source for an existing story that's going to continue to be a story is
Mhm.
one way to get in. So there you're not saying, hey, I'm Bob, the real estate agent, interview me about my real estate company, but you saw a story, or you realize that in the marketplace, people are no longer buying houses close to good schools now because of COVID. So you've noticed that, but nobody else is mentioning that. That's something you could comment on. And I just made that up. That's not a true thing. But I mean, you know what I mean? That could be something you could comment on, write a press release, Bob, the real estate agent, noticed, and that's news. Now, they're not talking about you and your houses that you're selling, but the fact that they're quoting you as an expert, draw obviously elevates you in your field, because the power of the media is why, even when they buy ads, they used to say, as seen on TV. The power of the media is if, you have two equally, two people who do the same thing, and
Yeah.
someone is looking at their websites to decide who they want, and one of them is nationally quoted as an expert in their field and the other is not, your chances are the one who is quoted is going to get that customer. And more in 2020, that's important. It's not just an add-on. As time goes by, if you're not looking at, the phrase thought leadership, some of them think it's silly, some of us like it, but that if you're not looking at ways to present yourself as a leader in your field, as a thought leader, if you're not speaking on issues, somebody in your industry is. And I don't care whether you're a real estate agent or a landscaper or whatever it is. Somebody has a podcast, so if you're not presenting yourself as a leader in your field, you are going to fall behind. And that because everybody else is, because now that we have all these opportunities,
Yeah.
to speak, if you're not doing it, you
Yeah.
may just be a great real estate agent, so busy with clients that you don't have to. And that's
Right.
fine, because then you don't need new clients. But if
Mhm.
you're in a position where if you're ever buying ads, you should be, anybody who buys ads should be equally thinking about public and media relations. To
Yeah.
me, if I only had a budget for one or the other, well, I guess it depends what it is, because some things you need the ad, you need both. But I mean, some projects don't have both. And I personally would rather have, a third party writing about what I'm doing than have a big glossy ad, depending
Mhm.
on what the project is. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's their place for advertising.
Right. That makes sense. So I don't know if you're a fan or if anyone listening is a fan of Schitt's Creek, but I've been watching the last season and they turned a really bad PR stunt into something really good. So I don't know if anyone's seen that with the crows, but if you haven't, go watch it. I won't give it away, but tell us, Tracy, like, is there a time when you might have something really bad happen to you that you could flip it and turn it like they did on Schitt's Creek and make it a good thing and have it, let the news know and make it into a good PR? Like, how would that work?
Yeah. Well, I mean, things happen like it happens with clients. It's not a personal thing, but I mean, I work with clients across industries, and these are incendiary times. And in the last year, one of my clients had gotten caught up in a controversy through no fault of her own, and actually nothing that she had done, but a short, brief flame online controversy, because 8 or 9 months previous, she'd had some business dealings with a person who ended up with some bad online behavior, and things all blew up, and everybody who was associated with that person was kind of getting mud thrown at them. Thankfully, my client had, disassociated for other reasons nearly a year before, and we were able to make that clear. But that opportunity, and because my client, it was an issue around race, and my client is the furthest thing, from race as possible. This other person, maybe it was questionable. So we had the opportunity for my client to really show her, I mean, it was very devastating for her to have even a thought that somebody could, think that she'd have an association with that kind of a thing. So we were able to show the truth of her long history, not something we just made up in response to that, but we were able to show her long personal history, her long personal associations, that showed her company in a super positive light, that we never would have been talking about that. Because it was just the norm for, that's just what she was doing. She wasn't trying to jump on any bandwagon or use any kind of movement for anything, but she just always been, so we were able to take her history, use that thing that somebody, that was that could have been negative because people, she was getting associations that she
Mhm.
didn't deserve, shine a positive light on her actual work. And then from that, she got, all kinds of love from people who would otherwise, have believed the wrong thing. And, because she was actually genuine and her work reflected that, people were affronted that had happened to her, and kind of embraced her even more. And now she's doing even more work in those communities and more public work in those communities. So that's a really good example of how don't just, necessarily run and hide and panic, as long as you, and I mean, actually, I'm not the kind of publicist who likes to, who will turn a pig's, what is a pig into a sow's ear into a purse, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm about genuine, like I actually want to believe in all the messages that I work with, and I'm lucky that I've been able, and like I have the luxury to, I don't take on giant corporate accounts, or I don't work for countries where the messaging might, at one point be something I don't want to get behind. I work with people that I know and companies that I know, and I can stand behind those individuals. And there's been times when I've disassociated, because I said, it's not a message I want to get out there after seeing something a little clearer, but generally, yeah, you don't face everything head on. And if you are genuine in your business and in yourself and in your ethics, then I think that you should be just be able to face things head on and be genuine and be honest and find a way to to turn that to your advantage.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute because I think that's like a really big trending thing the last couple of years is the authenticity. So, before it was all filters and Snapchat and, looking all different, looking different than you normally look. But now authenticity in how you look and also authenticity in what you say and all of those things are really big right now. So being vulnerable and authenticity, let's talk about that a little bit. So
Yeah, I mean, the world that we live in now with all the cameras and all the social media and all the Zoom calls like we're doing right now and everything else, I think, the world that we live in now demands that authenticity, and we can see through phoniness a lot more.
mhm.
We have a lot more eyes on it, a lot more cameras, a lot more moments to watch, so, that old saying, your vibe attracts your tribe. I say that for business too. You know, I mean, obviously, when you get out of university and you have no history behind you and all that, you have to maybe consider how you're presenting yourself in the business world. But people like me, I'm older and, I'm 50 now. And social media, got big when I was 37 or 38. And I was already past the point where, I'd already had some successes. I was past the point where I was trying to paint a picture of myself or feeling like I had to be applying for that job to the world. So,
Mhm.
but now 10 years on, we're all at that point. We all have a history of, I mean, it's funny, we say be genuine, but I mean, you better hope that your genuine is good.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
there's all those eyes on you, right?
Right.
And there's cancel culture now too, which I mean, I understand because I'm a longtime anti-racist and all that stuff. So I personally don't want to work with people, people. So, but then there's the left and then there's the super right, and there's such polarized times these days that even the old left and the right aren't what they used to be. It's just
Mhm. Everything's
everybody
in
on
the
every
middle.
side.
right.
So it's really, you're
Split
walking
down
a
the middle.
minefield in social media with business messaging, with all that stuff too. So
Yeah,
one
gotta
thing I've
know.
said, over the last 6 months to people and clients is like, if you don't know, and I know everybody's feelings are up and everyone's got hyped up feelings, whether it's around issues in race in America, or whether it's about COVID or masks or all those things that while we've all been locked in our houses staring at our screens, have gotten everybody upset and polarized and mad at each other about over the last 6 months. When you're talking to, if you have a business brand or even a personal brand, because it doesn't matter about business, like your brand, you are your brand now, right? And
Yeah,
and what you put online has implications. So if you don't, I mean, no matter how strongly you might feel about something, if you're not absolutely sure that you have a deep understanding of the background of the issues, of the toes you might be stepping on, like you could share a meme and destroy your reputation.
Mhm.
You can share a meme and just have half the people that you care, not just opposite people, that those mystical people that you think of that don't think like you, but actual people in your life that can look at you differently, people that you work with, sit with, whether it's on the left, whether it's on the right, forget all that. But just by sharing a meme of something you don't understand and they do, or you could hurt people, or you could, just be very cautious about being super confident about your messaging. It's okay to be out there. I'm a outspoken activist. I never would say not to. I'm absolutely an outspoken activist, and I am happy to lose clients who don't like that. It's never happened yet. People know who I am.
I want to ask you,
Yeah.
before we wrap up, how important or what difference can it make when you have an author? So if you write a book, does that help with someone's PR? Would you suggest somebody to write a book, and that opens up a
Thousand
conversation?
percent. 1,000%. And if I don't, I mean, I work with a lot of authors across the expertises. And when I work with people who are not authors, it's I very, very, I mean, very often suggest they become authors,
Mhm.
whether they've been thinking about that or not. A lot of people never think of themselves as the author of a book, but they have a blog, or they're very well spoken on socials and they have a voice, or they want to speak on panels more and they want to get out there. Well, your book is your calling card for that.
Mhm.
99% of the time, if you have a book, same with media, and it doesn't matter how many, because it's the book, and then it's, as you guys know, presenting it and making sure people know about it. But 100% your book is a calling card, and I absolutely recommend, if you're an expert in anything, have the confidence, look online. It could be, look online and see what people are publishing. And there are people, you'll read I bet you if you read a book in your field, you'll think, yeah, I knew all that, and I knew a few more things too. So there's probably, you are an expert in whatever you're doing. Have the confidence of putting it on paper. Go to people like Elite, because clearly, I mean, every book is a bestseller. I mean, they obviously know how to differentiate, because I'll tell you, there's a million books that they're publishing is only half the battle, right? You have to get it seen, and it has to be supported. But that's a huge way. When I say you can elevate yourself to the top of any industry, absolutely. Becoming an author is a huge tool. And that also opens a lot of media doors, because when they want to know why you're an expert, sure, you have your business, but that's almost advertorial, right? But if you have your business and you're an author, okay, now you've elevated yourself into thought leadership beyond just what your company and your dollar, but you clearly, open up to the industry. So yeah, talk to these ladies.
So let's talk about your book really quick, and then we can wrap up. Get Repped. What's your book about?
Get Repped, build your brand with effective public and media relations. So it's about what we've been talking about, in more depth, with some excellent examples, and even a couple of examples of people, people who went the wrong way, who were doing great in building up their reputation, and then made some missteps that brought them, to kind of unraveled a lot of the work they've done, how to avoid having anger and that kind of thing, mess up your public relations and media relations. And also just a lot of just tips on how to get into the media and different ways of thinking about yourself, and in terms of actually being an expert and going for it and doing it. So by the time you read my book, you should be getting out there and getting some of these media spots and all that.
All right. Well,
That's
we'll be
coming out
looking
in
for
early
it. Let
next
us
year.
know when it comes out, and then we'll post it here on the podcast as well.
Excellent.
Thanks so much for coming. Tell us where we can find you, Tracy.
Lamourie Media.com is LAMOURIE media.com, or Tracy Lamourie PR Media on Instagram, and I live on Facebook.
Awesome. We'll put those links in the show notes, and we'll get those also up here on YouTube, link in the description too.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, guys.
Awesome.
Terrific. Well, remember to subscribe to our podcast, because we are always inspiring you, motivating you, and educating you to take you to the next level. And again, if you're looking to publish a book, reach out to us at eliteonlinepublishing.com and fill out a form there, and we'll get back to you. Thanks again for joining us. Have an outstanding day.
Bye.
Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.